Welcome back to Boatful Sailing. So today on Anchored, Sailors and Their Boats, we're going down to Falmouth, Maine to meet with Ryan. Ryan just bought this past winter a new to him 1987 Pearson 31-2. Now, I haven't been on a Pearson in years, nor have I ever been on a Pearson 31-2, so I'm psyched to check it out. Looks like a very nice boat. And I think it's going to be very interesting for us to learn what it was about this boat that made Ryan buy it. Was it the shear lines? Was it budget? Was it the color of the hull? Was it the shape of the hull? Was it the length of the boat? It could be any number of things. And I think it's very useful to speak to current owners who's just gone through the process of buying a boat to find out what it was that made this boat be the one. And so that's what we're doing. And we met Ryan through our Facebook community page. And speaking of that, Ryan is like the poster child for Boatful Sailing, because before his boat's even gone in the water, Ryan has started his own Facebook community page for Pearson 31-2 owners. And I think that's very cool. It can be very useful to other Pearson owners, because there are oftentimes things that come up for sale or people are giving away parts that will fit your boat. And you can also discuss issues and that sort of thing. So it's very useful information. So we're on the road to find out. Come along, let's go check out this cool boat. Love boatyards, and this is the boatyard that we're gonna find Ryan's Pearson 31-2. Love coming in the boatyards. Okay, so I just found the boat we're meeting at, and it's a 1987 Pearson 31-2, and meeting the owner here momentarily, and we're gonna go take a look. So this is exciting. All right, so we are up on the Pearson 31-2, which is new to Ryan as of the fall, 1987 hull. And I have to say from first observation that this thing is as neat as a pin and very clean. And it looks like it's not a 1987, but more of like a mid-90s, early 2000s, I gotta say. So tell us how you found the boat and why the Pearson. Was there a moment that you saw the boat and was like, this is the boat I gotta have?
Yeah. It's a good question. I found this boat, and the reason I chose the Pearson 31-2 above other boats that I've seen, I think mainly because of the sort of ample space in the cabin.
Yeah.
She's a 31-foot boat. I felt that it was big enough to comfortably cruise the coast of Maine in, have two couples aboard.
Yep.
It's a fast enough boat that you can get out of weather if you need to.
Yep.
And I think one of the big selling points for me in terms of interior features specifically was the galley.
Yep. And we'll do a tour of that because it is cool.
Yeah, the galley was a big thing for me because I love to cook, and it looked like it had a functional galley. I didn't have to worry about putting my foot in the sink when I was going down the companionway ladder.
I've noted that on one of the earlier videos of an Albert 37. It was one of the turnoffs that the galley sink was right in the companionway, and you would have to put a cover on it, otherwise you're going to break an ankle going in or out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I looked at several different boats. I looked at and I was under agreement on a Sabre 30.
Yeah.
And I made an offer also on an S2, a 10-meter S2.
Yep.
And then the value of that boat, the asking price was far higher than its actual value. So in the end, I didn't end up proceeding with that offer.
So part of your process was budget driven too, right? So
right.
Like the rest of us, you're on Yacht World or brokerage sites or whatever, looking at a certain budget range and looking for boats that look clean and not needing a ton of work.
I wanted a boat that I could get into, do some minor projects, knowing very well that there might be a few maintenance items, but I didn't want any major systems that were out of whack and needed
like a new engine
refitting
and so the Sabre fell through and the S2 was not worth the money they were asking.
I didn't think it was worth the money. It also, I thought the rigging was a bit light on it for the type of sailing that I wanted to do.
Yeah. And which is primarily coastal cruising and some overnights and week-long journeys, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so when you saw this one, was it a FSBO or was it brokerage?
This was through a brokerage.
Yeah.
This was through East Coast Yacht Sales.
Yeah, sure.
I had a broker. His name was Chris Grimes.
Yeah.
And I purchased it from a gentleman.
Good plug for you, Chris.
Yep. By the name of the gentleman who sold it. His name is Jim Kern.
Yeah.
And I think he was the second owner of this boat.
Oh, wow. That's
Um,
not bad for an 87.
Second or third owner of this
Yep.
boat, and so I'm the third or fourth owner. And she had been loved and well maintained by this gentleman for. He bought it in the early '90s.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's had it for a long time. And um, when you saw the boat, you came down to the boatyard, I presume. Was it sort of love at first sight when you're like, it looked everything you imagined it to be?
I have to say, after my experience with the Sabre and looking at the S2 and
Yeah.
being on other people's boats,
Yeah,
that
OPBs we call them, other people's boats.
I tried to really not get too excited.
Yeah.
I really came on the boat. It was dead of winter.
Yep.
Like right after Christmas, I think, was the first dates I had looked at it.
So the worst time of year.
She was all covered up, dark, cold. You could see your breath.
Yeah.
I kind of came down. I said to myself, okay, don't fall in love with this boat.
Yep.
You know what you're looking at. Just look for the dirty stuff.
Yep.
Get on there.
Get the rose-colored glasses off.
Be really, really objective. If
Yeah.
you see something that's out of place, it probably is.
Yep.
And I got aboard, looked around, tried not to get too excited. Really just dug my nose into a bunch of corners and open cabinets and looked in bilges and looked at chain plates and looked at engines and looked at all the stuff that was important to allow you to stay afloat and have a boat that operated,
right.
Versus the creature comforts, which could come at a later time. Because I figured if it passed the muster with those basic things, then I could move forward and look with prettier eyes at nicer things.
Exactly. Get through the basics first. And did you get a survey too?
I did.
Yeah. And that panned out well, obviously.
Yeah, we surveyed her. I think it was in January.
Okay.
And she surveyed really well. My surveyor was like, for a 1987 boat, this is a 9 out of 10. So.
Oh, well, you can't ask for more than that. I think ours was like a 5.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we explained what our intended use was like coastal cruising, and at the end of that, I said, you're a 9 out of 10 then. Yeah. If you're going to use it for that, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So I just, because we're sitting here before we do the tour, your wheel, I know you posted on our community page that you were working on this, and it looks like it turned out really well.
Yeah, I bought the elk hide. It was a kit. Excuse me, and I had to do all of the stitching. Basically, it came all pre-cut. I had to do all the dimensions and measurements and
Edson, right?
Send it over. No.
Oh, really?
Boatleathers.com.
Interesting. Okay.
And I hope I caught that correctly, because
I can put it in the description below.
It's boatleathers.com. It was basically, it came all all the holes were already pre-cut.
Yeah.
And the loop itself was stitched together already.
Oh.
And all of the edges were faced. So all I had to do, it shipped with thread and a few needles, and all I had to do was stitch.
Wow, that is easier than what I had to do. Mine was Edson. I had to cut it to the circle and then make the circle and all that sort of stuff, and it was a little more involved.
I probably spent 2 hours measuring it, but
I did not do that. So that's okay. So that's a win for Edson then on the other side.
But measure 3 times and cut once.
Exactly.
Or on a boat, it's measure 8 times and cut twice.
Absolutely. All right. Well, very cool. So, what was my last question about this? So now that you've had it so you bought it you had the survey in January, so you probably closed in February. And do you mind giving a budget range, which you were in?
She was listed for 25.
Yep. And you got it for around that, I would imagine.
22 and change.
Yep. That is fantastic. And I think what it's good for our viewers to know is that for that kind of money, you can get a smoking boat.
Yeah.
Because this boat is turnkey, as you'll see from the tour we're about to do. You could take this from here to the islands, and not main islands. I mean, like the Caribbean islands. This is really beautiful.
Maybe someday.
Well, do your first season, see how it works, see if there are any leaks.
My goal is to cruise the coast of Maine over the next couple seasons, and say that I've done the entire coast, and then
that's
maybe branch out
3,000 miles of coastline.
Yeah.
You got to get sailing soon. So when's your launch date?
We go in on June 8th.
All right. So for our viewers, today is the 30th of May. So that's coming right up. But you look ready to go.
Yeah.
So all right, so we're gonna cut and do a little tour. This is
Sure.
cool. So we're going to start in the galley, and as Ryan said, he likes to cook. So this is one of the selling points for you. So why don't you show us what the lay of the land here?
Yeah, one of the things I really liked was the fact that I have a 2-burner stove with a gimbal and an oven. I really wanted a boat with an oven. It's nice heating up some rolls, or something that you can use reheating food, or who knows. And
it's clean.
Yeah, I did one pass of cleaning on the oven. She's propane, so there's a propane locker up in the cockpit. But,
yep.
I did test it. It works. Don't know how well the oven works, but we're about to find out.
Is it a Force 10 or is it?
It is. Don't know. It's a Tasco.
Tasco. Okay. I think we had the same one on the Sabre, my stepfather's Sabre, and it works great.
At best guess, it's original to the boat. So.
Yeah, I would think it is. Yep. But at least it's on propane and not CNG, or LNG. I forget what the other ones were, but you can't get the gas anymore for it.
Yep. But
great storage, it looks like.
She's got lots of storage. There's a bottle locker down there.
Oh yeah, that's for the good stuff.
Lots of nice built-ins. Lots of space for supplies.
Canned goods there.
Your plates, cup storage up there. There's a great big locker down here.
Oh my gosh.
So there's
tons of room.
There's just tons of space on this. It's like a small kitchen, and trash is out there, and that goes out into the garage, I call it, the lazarette.
The Ericsson had garbage there too. I like that.
Yeah.
Ours is under the galley sink.
But there's just so much room for stuff. There's actually a battery compartment. In the plans in the manual, it talks about that little spot being
there are 2 trays there for
battery compartment. So if I needed to expand my house batteries into like some lithium ions or something, then I could do that pretty easily.
That's slick.
But
I love this companionway. It's a nice, easy angle down.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. We'll look at the engine in a minute, but I was just going to note the size of this quarter berth is definitely a double. You could get 2 people in there, and you've got a nice little port there for air and ventilation.
Yep. It's easy access to the radial.
The quadrant,
the radial quadrant, and the steering cables are
through that cutout back there.
Actually, that is the actual lazarette. That goes right to the transom, and you can get to all of the bits and pieces in the transom that you need to get. If you need to mount something, you can get in there.
Nice.
And everything's very accessible on this boat. Bill Shaw was really smart.
This is a Bill Shaw design. So is this original? Because that does not look.
Yes.
I guess that's beautiful. It's a beautiful shape, and you got stereo and
tape player too.
Cassette.
Yeah,
do you still have? And you still have cassettes?
I have my
Steely Dan, no less. All right. Hey, and Dire Straits and the Eagles, Proclaimers. This is good stuff. You need your what is it? Yacht music or yacht?
My yacht rock.
Yacht rock.
That's what that is.
That's your yacht rock. That's amazing. RAM. Oh my God! Automatic for the people. Fantastic. This is really cool. And your nav station is cool, but the you mentioned something cool about this, like the refrigeration's under here or something, or the icebox anyway.
So the reason the galley is so spacious and there's so much extra storage is because Bill Shaw said, hey, let's make a chart table that's also the icebox. So the icebox is down underneath here.
That's amazing.
And there's a drain, actually, where all the meltwater can go.
Yep.
And it pumps, using a hand pump, you can pump the drain water out of the icebox and into the galley sink and drain it overboard, or use it somehow. I wouldn't use it to make tea with, but it's fine for a wash up or something.
Yeah. And that's amazing. So no refrigeration, but an icebox. So you're rocking it old school like we are. Just get some block ice and you're good to go.
Yeah, and it's big enough that you could put one in if you needed to.
Yep, for sure. And then you got nice storage over there.
Battery box are under the quarter berth down there. I installed the Victron battery monitor.
This thing right here. I want to ask you about that later because that's cool.
Yep. She's got a standard lead acid starting battery and a standard like Group 27 AGM house battery at the moment.
Okay. Sounds ample. And the sole floor looks beautiful. And so as everyone knows now from the previous anchored, I am 6'1", and I have to say there's more than enough headroom here. I've got at least an inch or two clearance there. This is great. Nice handrails for when you're in the huge seas. Floor stepped mast, keel step mast, so you're good there. That's great. And did you have to do a lot to the interior here to spruce her up, or?
So my partner and I have been working on this for the past month and a half, just about every weekend, and he has gone through with Murphy's oil soap and some Pledge and some teak oil, and just kind of done 2 or 3 coats of teak oil on it. Let it soak up, and the way we knew that it was kind of done soaking up the oil was because it would still be kind of greasy on the surface. So we'd just take that and buff it in with a dry rag, and you end up with this nice shine, and it brought the finish, and a lot of it right back to 1987, it looks like.
It does.
Which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I've got to do the same. Ours is in...
This is a barometer and a clock set that was on the boat. I'm actually replacing these with a barometer and clock that my dad had.
Oh, cool.
That I destroyed as a child and
had fixed up
with a hammer, and I'm having them restored now. So those are going to go on the boat too. So that's kind of a special thing.
Was it atoning for your sins? Is that what it is?
Pretty much, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you show us the head and V-berth?
Sure. So the V-berth right now is just filled with extra crap.
Yeah. Your spreaders.
But spreaders, my mast spreader, she's got double spreaders.
Wood accents up here in the V-berth, and you got a hatch here for fresh air.
Beautiful cabinetry.
Solid wood.
Yep, all solid teak. The lighting is here. There's an outlet. One of the things that I did is, and I recommend this for anybody who buys a boat, is replace every single cabin light with LEDs.
Yeah.
You don't need to change the fixture, just find the replacement bulb that's LED. So this boat is loaded with lights, but they were all like 20 watt, 12 volt incandescent bulbs.
Yeah.
And I've replaced them all with LED, and all of the cabin lights have 2-way switches.
So you can get the red light.
I got the red LEDs to go with them.
Yeah.
So I replaced all of the cabin lights with LED bulbs.
Okay.
And one LED bulb was like 20 watts.
Yep.
So now I can run all of the lights for less than 20 watts.
Gotcha. So the savings is exponential in terms of usage.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That's incredible. Thanks for sharing that. That's great intel for people who are looking at an older boat, because you wouldn't necessarily think, well, I got to go and change all the bulbs, but you ought to.
You should.
You really should, if you want to not drain your batteries every time you turn on your lights.
Yep. The gentleman who owned it had replaced the toilet itself at some point. So it's manual. I don't need anything more than manual.
No, you don't need an automatic.
It's either pump it overboard or pump it into the tank. So I haven't done much in here except for clean it. But, you know, some of the faucets are a little dirty, but they work just fine. They don't leak, you know.
I'll come in after you're out and take a shot.
It's minor cosmetic things that it needs.
Well, and given the age of the vessel, I would say that it is rather spectacular. It's just one big molded sink and easy to clean. And yeah, you can take care of these fixtures later. And you've got a shower, you've got a drain in here.
Yep.
It's got a separate pump for that. Yep. That is slick. And a hatch.
Shower curtain.
What's that?
We need to find a shower curtain so we don't destroy the door.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. And you've got a hatch for ventilation and not so overheating in there. That's really nice. Again, we're on a 31-foot boat, and I would say this is a very similar feel to the down below on, for example, a Sabre 36. Not much difference.
Yeah, another project I did was I put in the 2 fans.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's nice.
And all I did was I tapped off the 2 little spotlights here.
Yep. Okay.
And I just tapped off those.
Yeah.
And that way there'd be some ventilation on the boat aside from the port lights. It's just nice to have fans.
Especially when you're cooking and you have that fan blowing on you, and when your brain is cooking at the back of your instrument there. But
yeah, circa 1995.
And it works.
Chart plotter, yeah.
And I reckon at some point you could build some sort of box to close that in so you're not looking at the back of it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the rubber grab handle.
That's like an oh shit handle in a car.
It is.
But I bet you'll find it really useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at the engine, because this is again, I'm amazed by the cleanliness of this boat, and Was the previous owner young or elderly or?
He is a gentleman. I'm guessing he's probably in his late 60s,
Okay.
70s. He and his wife have owned the boat since the 90s, and they did a lot of main cruising with it.
Yep.
And I hope to kind of pick up that torch, but his wife was having some health issues, and he decided that he was going to part ways with the boat.
Okay.
And hand it over to somebody who could use it for what it's made for.
And obviously he grew up in an era where like just making a bed was a win for the day, right? So he seems like he was rather fastidious and took great care of this boat. And I can tell by looking at this engine that he did, and he cared about his boat. And so this looks like it's a little Yanmar, maybe 20 horsepower?
18.
18 horsepower, okay. Wow. That is snappy clean.
One of the things that
engine mounts look brand new.
Yeah, one of the things that I did this winter while it was still cold, and I had a little propane heater in here and to keep warm. Was I basically took some Dawn dish detergent and a bucket of water and just went over the whole engine with a rag. And it allowed me to look for things. One of the things I think that I find really helpful is just being familiar with your boat is a big one. And by cleaning and doing these little chores, it seems like a lot of work, but it's a passive way to get familiar with what's going on.
Just one more look down the boat here from this perspective. It is a sharp boat, and I am astonished that she's an 87 because it looks much cleaner and newer than that. And all your windows and ports look great. I mean, what a cool boat. I love it. So for the price of, it was $22,500 or whatever, you're getting a lot of boat, and you could definitely cruise comfortably with a small family on this boat. And I love it. So we're gonna put the engine compartment back together and then go up on deck and take a look around. All right, so now we're coming up on deck on the Pearson 312, and I'm just going to say that this cockpit looks plenty big to host at least 8 people, 6 to 8 people comfortably sitting around in here. And you sort of have the CNC hump here for steering, and just a nice layout. Looks comfortable. Nice Dodger. The wheel obviously is down below. Nice binnacle. And are you going to do a bimini at some point?
Yeah, we're gonna might do a couple modifications to the Dodger. I like to get my winch handles all the way around. So that's an issue. I guess I could tie them back if I need to. That probably would work just fine. But we're gonna put a bimini on, and really just I had a bout with melanoma last summer. So don't really want to have a revisit that again. So bimini is a good thing.
Viewers, really good point. I've also had Mohs surgery on my nose, so the sun is the real deal, and you got to stay protected. And we're looking at a bimini too. And like you, we also have a split backstay, which makes it a little bit more complicated, but they know how to do these things. And this is your fuel locker, right?
That is the propane locker. You can open up.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. I like that.
Drains outboard. Just like it's supposed to. And then this is your garage. Cockpit. I call it, well, the lazarette, but I call it the garage. It's a mess at the moment. But
it's not bad.
You'll see trash, but it goes actually, when it's empty, I can get all the way down in there and almost lay down. My hot water tank is right underneath that bucket.
So this is where you'll put guests that you don't want down below.
There you go.
It's an extra quarter berth.
You'll get the penalty berth if you...
the penalty berth. That's very nice. That's huge, actually. That is really big.
And that's the only locker out here. That's why they made it this size.
Similar setup we have.
As you saw in the quarter berth basically comes to about center line and all the way to the rest of the boat. So.
And your controls for your engine are right there. The ignition and shut off. That looks fine.
I haven't started her up this year, but that's on my list of to-dos. I think I'm probably going to hook up a hose and just feed it some fresh water and do that before the lift has her.
I think that's a swell idea, because nothing would be more embarrassing or frustrating to get her dropped in the water and nothing happened when you turn the key. That happened to us when we launched our first season last year, actually. We turned the key and we had turned on the wrong battery bank and nothing happened, and it was startling. Wow, these decks are nice wide decks.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about the deck, in terms of the way it's rigged, standing rigging, there's only one set of chain plates, port and starboard. There's not multiple chain plates, so there's only one penetration.
Yeah.
The stays are inboard.
In other words, both stays come down, or there are three that come down to this.
Yep.
This is dual spreader, so you got upper and lowers.
Correct.
Yeah. So all three come to this one location. That's really nice. And like I said, these top sides, do you think these were repainted or is this original?
Those were repainted and regridded because it's a diamond pattern.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The diamond pattern is original to the boat.
I like the color combination, sort of a beige on white look.
And not too much teak. The only teak is on the boat are the grab rails and the tow rails.
Yeah.
And I need to redo the tow rails, but that's not happening this year. I want to actually sail the boat this year.
I'm in the throes of doing my tow rails right now, and it takes an hour each side.
As you can see, this gentleman here,
he's making you look bad.
A beautiful boat, and he has been varnishing here since winter. So
that's an Island Packet 27. It's beautiful. And then yeah, let's see your chain locker.
Chain locker, I just have a rode in here at the moment. This is the rode that came with the boat.
Yep.
It's a little chunky. This is going to be my spare.
Yeah.
I actually just bought a 33-pound Rockna, 50 feet of 3/8 chain, and 200 feet of 5/16. Did I get that backwards?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm terrible with fractions. 5/16 rope rode.
Okay. The 33-pound Rockna you said?
Yeah.
That's going to be more than enough to hold your boat.
Yeah, I'm hoping it fits on this anchor roller okay.
Yeah. That's going to be, that's a size anchor. That'll be more than enough, which is, you know what? If you're going to go big on something, that's what you want to go big on.
And that's what I learned from a few other people. One of the things that I did is I started a Pearson 31-2 Facebook group, and through that I've been able to ask other owners a lot of different questions, and sort of we share information. And that was one of the big questions I asked people was, what's your ground tackle look like? Because I think I need new. And
we'll put a link to that Facebook community page in the description below, because that is very useful to have. A nice community of boat owners, so you can toss ideas around and ask questions. And I like that you've got the stainless lifelines. Did you replace those?
Nope.
We just did ours, and to give the viewer a sense of cost, on a 38-foot boat, stainless lifelines will set you back about $1,000. But that's worth a little peace of mind when you're leaning against them. But boy, this is a nice layout. It's very clean, and it's a slick boat, and I am really, really impressed. You never know what's going to happen when you come and see these boats, and this is really, really nice and in great shape. There's your access to your emergency tiller there. And does that have auto helm?
It does. It actually has an auto helm. An auto helm 3000.
It's the auto helm 3000.
I think it is the auto helm 3000. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so there's the...
Okay. That is amazing.
Yeah.
So that is a bit of a gyroscope in here, if that clips onto the side of your boat.
It does,
yeah,
yes.
That's the same as ours. So that's really cool.
And it works.
Yeah, ours does too. It's funny, the belt turns, and it's enough to... I left it alone for a while, long enough to go use the head, and really cool. Ryan, let's go take a look down below, because she's got beautiful lines, and I want to go see them. All right, so here we are at the bow of the Pearson, and the bottom's just been painted with Interlux, I believe.
Yep.
And the gel coat looks to be A, original, and B, in beautiful shape. Not a lot of oxidation. Original boot stripes here, built into the gel coat. And cove stripe looks perfect. And just navigating some jack stands here, but big thin keel, and a nice big spade rudder, and two-bladed prop with a, looks like you got a line cutter on there. Nice. And two zincs, which look fine. And
here's that,
oh yeah, what you were talking about.
Interesting detail with the
stuffing box.
Yeah, that's a unique Pearson thing. I have not seen it on any other boat. It makes the stuffing box stay at a 90-degree angle, and they can, I don't know,
better alignment.
Better alignment, better engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing that sticks down, but I think the trade-off is pretty reasonable.
We'll check the sailboat data, but I'm sure she's fast regardless. But that's really neat. So you named her Ardent, which is a little bit hard to see because of not only the sun but the ladder. But what does that mean?
Ardent means like doing something with passion or with great enthusiasm. Like I'm an ardent baseball fan, or I'm an ardent sailor.
Love it. I love it. That's cool. What a great name. So you renamed her.
I did.
Did you do a seance and a christening? And
not yet. I got to get my mother down to come crack a bottle of champagne over the anchor.
Because you got to get rid of the bad juju by changing the names, right?
Well, I think the boat has a lot of good juju, actually, because the guy who owned her since the mid '90s, and he and his family sailed it all over the coast of Maine, and I think loved her a lot, and it shows.
Yep. And now you've taken up the torch.
Yep.
And they're going to do the same. Well, she is really pretty. I can get one shot from up on the bow.
She drafts 5'8".
Oh, good information. 5'8". Okay.
Yeah. They also made a wing keel version of this boat.
Yeah.
But I'm told that they're a little slower and don't point as well.
No, she looks like she's going to point. And those shrouds are well in your coach roof, which means you can be able to trim that jib right in.
Yeah.
No, this is really pretty. I love this boat.
I believe it's about 3,800 pounds of lead underneath it.
Okay. Do you know what her overall displacement is?
10,000 pounds.
Look at that. You got that information down. You've been geeking out on sailboat data like I do. All right. This is fantastic. Love your boat, Ryan. Thank you for the tour.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully see you out on the water.
We will see you on the water.
Excellent.